Welcome to the Top Listing Agent Show, the place to be to stay on the cutting edge of what it takes to sell more homes in less time. Each week, your host, Chadi Bazzi, will share with you the best skill sets, systems, and strategies so you can become a top listing agent. And now, let the show begin.
Welcome to the Top Listing Agent Show. We have Michael Lafido on today. I'm very excited about the opportunity to have someone like you on the show, share you with our audience, and help people get to know who you are and help people take their business to the next level, etc. So, Michael, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone who's either listening to this and or watching this?
Absolutely. My name is Michael Lafido. I'm the founder of the Luxury Listing Specialist certification and author of the book Luxury Listing Specialist. I help agents and brokers across the country increase their average sale price by adding our systems. So one of the things that we always teach is there's a luxury market in every price point, in Dearborn, Michigan, and in Orange County, no matter what part of the country you're in, there are luxury homes. I personally, for our certification, we define luxury as 3 times whatever the average sale price is for your given market. So if you're in Crown Point, Indiana, and the average sale price is $167,000, times that by 3, and luxury is around $500,000 to $510,000. So we help agents add more high-end and luxury homes to their portfolio, because I believe that in every market there's 4 price points of homes. There's entry level, there's your average price point home, there's high end, and there's luxury. And we want agents to add more high end and luxury homes. But Chadi, what I've found out is most agents have limiting beliefs. There's reasons that they don't go on these appointments, and it's usually in between the ears. So we help agents to prove others wrong, so to speak, and break down those barriers and get outside their comfort zone.
I love that. I was looking at that right behind you. It says prove them wrong. And I was like, I got to ask them today, what is that all about? Prove them wrong.
Prove them wrong, right? We've all had naysayers. Maybe it was a teacher. Maybe it was a coach. Maybe it's your significant other or an ex. And so I love when somebody says that can't be done, or that doesn't work in this market, or that won't work with this company, or that won't work with my clients. And I love proving others wrong. So I've taken agents that come from blue collar that have never sold luxury homes, and we help break down those barriers. I'm helping a Keller Williams agent out of Dallas, Texas. She had never gone on a listing appointment above $500,000 in her career. She's over 60 years old, and within 2 months of going through our training, she went on a $5.1 million canceled listing. And she said, I would never have gone on $1 million appointment before meeting you, Michael, let alone a 5. So proving others wrong. In her case, she had, a lot of mental barriers. So I love when people say stuff can't be done. And so that's my visual reminder behind me, not just for myself, but when we're doing these types of live trainings.
Love it. Love it. So Michael, let me ask you, you've been in the business for about 18 years, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Did you enter right into the luxury market? Can you give us an idea of where you began, how you made that transition, et cetera? I'm sure people can benefit from, a little bit of that story.
Absolutely. It didn't happen immediately. It took years, and I wish I would have implemented what I teach now, because again, in real estate, being commission-based, if you can increase your average sale price, then you can work smarter, not harder. So I started as a part-time agent. I was actually a high school teacher, and my first listing ever was an $80,000 condo. And now, our average prices, we represent some amazing multi-million-dollar properties. But how we made the transition is I coached a top agent, $100 million plus producer, and I had a product at the time. I was doing some trainings, and it was basically called the Ultimate Listing Blueprint, helping agents get more leads, more listings, and more closings. And I had an agent invest in this down in Florida, and they referred me to a $100 million producer that was a top luxury agent. And I helped her, I helped others, and she was in the luxury space. And I realized she needed help, but others needed help. So I made the transition to not just selling average homes, but going after high-end listings as an agent. But also I made the switch in my coaching consulting company to help agents that are looking to either break into selling more high-end luxury homes, or they're looking to differentiate and be the top luxury agent in their marketplace.
Love it, love it, love it. You know what? One of the main reasons why I'm excited about doing this is because it is a very common question that I get from agents like all over the country. They're always asking me, how do I, is like a luxury seller, or let's just say high-end seller, people are afraid of the people at the higher end, like they make up the story in their mind, like that person is like too smart for me, or like that person is above my level, etc. And they have a hard time breaking through that mental barrier. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time on, just talking about like, what is the difference between a person who's selling, a $100,000 home, or $2,000 home, or $1 million, dollar home. So what is the difference, and what's going through the mind?
So first off, question for you. Did you ever see the movie with Robert De Niro, Meet the Parents?
I did, yeah.
It's a classic. So in that movie, Robert De Niro talks about the circle of trust, right? And so it's very difficult to penetrate the circle of trust for high net worth individuals. So that is a fact. Of course, there's ways that you can do that if you don't have a track record of selling luxury homes. So first off, I always like to talk about you, or somebody that's watching this, your real estate portfolio of properties you represent is no different than a financial advisor talking to you about your assets in a portfolio terminology. So they would talk about diversification of your portfolio, some cash, some liquid, some high yielding, some low risk, etc. Well, real estate's no different. So if the entry level homes are selling in your market, still focus on those, but then add in some average priced homes, some high end, and some luxury to diversify your portfolio a little bit. Because I believe the fastest way for an agent that's watching this to get instant credibility from their database, their sphere, people that know them, like them, and trust them, or people that don't know them, like them, and trust them, is to land that first trophy listing, even if it doesn't sell. But getting back to your question, it's, many agents, they struggle in between the years, and they're their biggest critics. And Lisa M. Hayes once said, "Be careful how you talk to yourself, because you are listening." And it's so true. Many agents, you hear about affirmations and how athletes get these coaches, but it's not just for athletes, it's for adults, it's for practicing agents, it's for broker owners, that sort of thing. And so it's difficult to penetrate that circle of trust. And so the one thing I will tell you is the biggest misconceptions that I have to help agents overcome is it doesn't matter how many years you've been in the business. It doesn't matter if you personally come from wealth or live in a big home. It doesn't matter if you're with a certain brokerage. Those are all false, and false. Some brands, some certifications, matter of fact, teach that you have to say this instead of this. And I say hogwash to all that. Be authentic and be yourself. Okay, most millionaires and multimillionaires that I know, once you get to know them, they're just like you and I. Many times they don't dress real nice. They have that black t-shirt on and the blue jeans, and so just be authentic and be yourself, but don't go in there and what if yourself to death. What if they ask me how many $1 million plus homes I've sold in this? What if they ask me this? What if? Be prepared to overcome that objection. So I'm selling a home right now that was Architectural Digest most beautiful home for sale in Illinois, because that's where I'm based out of, the Chicagoland market. And that's one of the things that makes me different as a national trainer and speaker is I walk the walk, I talk the talk, I overcome objections. I'm in the trenches like agents today versus some of these trainers and certification trainers that are like professor teachers. They're like classroom teachers, and they don't practice what they preach. So that's really what makes us totally different. But where I'm going with this objection I had to overcome, I'm going on this $12.5 million home. It's amazing property. We're currently marketing. It's actually the home that's on, it's a Lion's Den. It's on Fox's hit series Empire. It's Terrence Howard or Lucius Lyon's main house. It's currently on the market, $12.5 million, Architectural Digest. The guy's interviewing me because it was listed currently at the time that he interviewed me. at the time he was interviewing me, and he point blank asked, "How many $1 million homes have you sold in this town?" And my answer was, the answer is none. However, you have just been with agents that focus on selling homes in this area, and they couldn't get your home sold. So if you're looking for an agent that does the same old thinking, the same old marketing, I'm not your guy. But if you're looking for somebody that's going to be aggressive, that thinks outside the box, that's going to position your home differently, that's going to position your home more effectively outside of this community, then I am your guy. And then the other thing too is the other agent discounted their commission, and he asked my fee, and I flat told him, I'm by far going to probably be the most expensive agent you interview, but you're going to net more money using our systems, and let me show you that. And he didn't even blink an eye. And so again, many agents, unfortunately, when they go up in the average sale price of a home they represent, unfortunately many agents compete by lowering their fee. Now, I know what the Sherman antitrust law says, so I'm not telling anybody what to charge people. But if you bring more value to the table, if you do a better job marketing the home, if you're a better negotiator, and they will net more money, you shouldn't have to compete by lowering your fee.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. And, like you mentioned that quote where you said, something along the line of like, be careful what you say to yourself because you're listening. A lot of times when somebody's trying to break into the high end, they're telling themselves, certain things along the line of like, but I don't have a good enough looking brochure. What if they ask me, have I sold anything in this area in this price point? And I know I haven't. So they've already like defeated themselves before they've given themselves the opportunity to go out there and do that. So it's easy for us to say, hey, don't think that and just, swing for the fences and take action. But, as they say, it's easier said than done.
Right.
So, you consult other agents and you coach and train other agents from all over the country on how to break through that self-limiting belief.
Sure.
Can you give our audience maybe like, just one exercise or maybe a 2-step process or something like that they can begin to take action on right now to, level up their thinking, level up their belief system, and then maybe one day sooner than later break into the higher end luxury market?
Yeah. So, there's an old adage called iron sharpens iron. So, you're the averages of 5 people you spend the most time with. I think Zig Ziglar once said, you hang out with 9 dead broke people, you're bound to be the 10th. So my suggestion would be hang out with 9 top producers, 9 agents that get it. Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. Figure out someone that's doing something successfully and model it. Okay. So again, that's kind of what you're doing. That's kind of what I'm doing, where we're coaching agents, we're helping them level up, take their business to the next level. My goal for any agent that goes through our training is to increase their average sale price of a home they represent by 30% within a given year. So you can do that by selling more homes. You can do that by increasing your conversion. So in other words, you go on 10 listing appointments and you convert 8 out of those appointments to listings. Well, if we can get you to 9 out of 10, those would be more opportunities, more listings. And number 10 would be protect your fee. And if anything else, maybe increase what you charge. So what are you reading? What are you reading? What are you listening to? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you on Zoom? Are you on live meetings like this? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Those are ways that you consistently grow your knowledge. And I believe if you grow your knowledge, your confidence will grow. So grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. So that could be something as simple as you go to broker opens, or you do events and you go to average price homes in your market. Well, go to a broker open or go to a private event for that multi-million-dollar property or that luxury home for your given market. So maybe in Orange County, that's a $10 million plus property, but whatever it is in your market, just go to there and talk to the other agents, and your confidence will start to grow.
Good. Okay. So number one, identify who are the people that are already doing that kind of business and, get in their circle somehow, some way. And, the easiest way to do that is freaking damn just attend one of those broker opens.
Yeah, but let's be real here. Real estate agents are funny. They keep their secrets close to their chest, right? Unfortunately, many agents in your market, my market, and all markets, they have a scarcity mindset. In other words, they'll let you come, but they're not going to give you their secrets. They're not going to share how they're prospecting. They're not going to let you ride along with them. So that's why having a great mentor coach is important. Investing in some kind of training or certification, or belonging to a top luxury team is important. So if you're not with the Rockstar team that specializes in luxury, no problem. Get a mentor that specializes in it, a coach, or invest in certification. There's my certification. There's other certifications out there, and that will help grow your knowledge. But be careful, because many agents that are in your local market, they might not be totally transparent with you and give you that roadmap or that blueprint, because they view you as competition internally, even in your same office, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so that was number one. Number two, you said, what are you reading? So can we talk a little bit about, can you recommend your book, tell people how to get a copy of your book, et cetera?
Yeah.
And then, we'll give them two book recommendations. One would be your book. Another one would be just another book, maybe to work with them on their belief system, et cetera, because, they got to break through that mental barrier. So let's start with your book.
Yeah, so you can find it on Amazon. It's just Luxury Listing Specialist. It's under Michael Lafido. It's $29.95. Looks like this: Luxury Listing Specialist, $29.95, and it's 185 pages. 12. It's a real easy read. I use a lot of visuals. That's one of the things I always recommend to agents. I try to model what I'm telling agents. Steve Jobs, in his presentation secrets, talked about if you use visuals and tell a story when you're trying to get a point across, that 65% of your audience will remember what you told them 72 hours later or 3 days later. If you tell them it's only 10%. So when I'm on a listing presentation, when I'm working with the buyer, if I'm creating educational content marketing for buyers, for sellers, or market updates, I use a lot of visuals. It's really important for your agents that are watching this. You use visuals to really hammer home a point. Okay, so I use a lot of visuals in my book as well, and in my trainings and my PowerPoints, to really hammer home points that are synergistic with my message. So that's a great book and resource. Let me see if I got one here in my office, and I'm not seeing it. The other book that I recommend is Darren Hardy's Compound Effect.
Yes.
Darren Hardy's Compound Effect. It's a great book. He talks a lot about how little hinges open big doors. Just a shift in your mindset can add up. So if an agent, to keep the numbers really simple, because real estate agents are typically poor with math. Okay, as are most human beings. If an agent on this increases their average sale price, let's just say for the sake of this demonstration, the average sale price that they personally represent is $250,000. If we can increase that by 20% over the course of a year by implementing systems, that would go from $250,000. If we can give them to 20%, that would be $300,000. Okay. Now that might not seem a lot, but if you're selling 50 homes a year, if you're selling 50 homes a year, that's a big shift in the millions of dollars in production, right? And if year two, you can go from your average sale price of 300 to another 20% raise, that would be 360. And then the following year, 360, increase that by 72, and that would be 434, I think, or 472, something like that. Just doing the math real quick. So that's the compound effect. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to go from $250 to $1 million average list price in a year, although it has for some of our folks. I had one agent I was coaching recently, and they doubled their average sale price by implementing our systems down in the Nashville market. And so that's what we want agents to do. So small hinges open big doors, and that's Darren Hardy's Compound Effect.
Love that book. It's an excellent little book that and it's an easy read. It makes total sense. And everyone that's listening to this or watching this video, if you haven't already picked up the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, it's definitely a must-read book for you this year.
I got a bonus one here for you, okay? So I was at the Keller Williams Luxury Conference in May this year, so a couple months back, and this gal, Amy Blankston, she wrote a book called The Future of Happiness. And I just did a educational video on it. Bottom line, she talks about basically the smartphone, how it's addicting and how that takes away from productivity. So a few things that she said, and I don't have the statistics memorized, but basically 70% of parents think their kids are on the smartphone too much, but 40 or 41% of kids think their parents are on the smartphone too much. And so by putting your phone out of sight, out of mind, because many times if you just know it's near you, you're compelled. The average smartphone user unlocks their phone 150 times a day. So that just takes, I know, I'm guilty of it as well. So put it out of sight, out of mind, put it on mute, because where I'm going with that is if you're really ingrained in creating a market analysis or creating a marketing piece, or you're really doing something, or your assistant is for that matter, if you get distracted, it takes on average about 11 minutes to get that laser focus that you had before that distraction. Okay, so many people are ADD, they got shiny object syndrome. Real estate agents are part of that, right? How many Facebook groups does your group belong to, right? And you can pose a question and you get 8 million different responses. So real estate agents are some of the worst at it. Put that smartphone away. Put it out of sight, out of mind when you're working on your business and you're seriously ingrained in something, because you're going to take away from your productivity. So that's really important. And if you're a broker owner or manager, put a sign on your door that says, stop, think about it, and go away. Think about it. So stop. So, many times the broker owners, office managers, they're getting the door knocked all the time on people that just want to chit chat, or more importantly, they ask questions that they already know the answer to. So stop, think about it, and go away, because you could probably answer it. And if you can't answer it, then let me know. Right? So having blocked time of your schedule to answer questions for your team or to be available. I return calls between 4 and 4:30 or whatever it might be. Time block. That's really important. Agents don't know what their time is worth. I was coaching an agent who was a $15 to $20 million producer, and he was running around town filling up those flyer boxes, that have the MLS sheets in it. And I said, Eric, that should be something you delegate to your assistant. So that's important. Now, the one thing that I think it's really important for agents to implement is using video. Video's not going away. A recent National Association of Realtors statistic talked about that 73% of sellers will hire an agent who uses video to market their home. Now, I don't have a ton of time to talk about various video usages, but one thing that definitely helped me take my business to the next level, I use a service through viral.com. There's a URL, getviral.com, and that's G-E-T, getviral, V-Y-R-A-L.com. And so I do educational videos. Here we are today on July 24th, thinking of selling in 2019. Don't wait till January before you start putting together your to-do list. Why don't you contact me or another top agent in the market, and we'll tell you what to do and what not to invest money in when you're thinking of selling in 2019. I've had sellers invest money in things that won't return any return, and it's poor investment. So make sure you don't make those mistakes. Contact me if you're thinking of selling in 2019. That would be an example. Or, hey, why buying a home? If you're thinking about buying still in 2018, don't put off your search if you haven't found your home. Why buying a home now? End of summer, early falls is where the best deals are. And then you might go into something, hey, many people that still have the home on the market, when the school starts, there are serious sellers. They have to sell, and you might be able to get a good deal, something along that. So educational videos for buyers, sellers, and market updates.
Love it. And I'm huge on video marketing.
I know you are.
And, and I saw some of your videos, and, I just love it. And, you're absolutely right, man. It's like, if you do all that little pre-work and you record all these videos, I tell my clients, all the time that, every lead you generate, regardless of the source, is an online lead. And the reason I say that is because the moment that, wherever the heck you met them at, they're going to, Google you and go to your website or go to your Facebook. And if you got a bunch of videos, then that's their opportunity to get to know you. So by the time you show up, you don't gotta spend too much time establishing that rapport. They already got a feel for whether they like you, whether they can trust you, whether you're an expert. So all that pre-work has already been done. So
it builds credibility and it builds trust. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Video does.
So, spending time about that, talking about, creating educational videos. I love the topics that you mentioned is like, hey, it's mid, 2018. Are you thinking about selling your home in 2019? Now, the way I look at it is we can create that video right now, and then mid 2019, we can create the same exact video again for 2020,
Absolutely. You don't have to reinvent the wheel with a lot of these videos. And part of the way, remember we talked about building that circle of trust. It's tough to penetrate the circle of trust when you're looking to increase your average sale price and break into the high-end and luxury market. And so if you differentiate yourself and you create educational videos talking about the luxury market, maybe you've never sold, let's just say for simplicity, luxury in your market that whoever's watching is $1 million plus, and you've never sold $1 million plus property. You can still pull the data from your MLS and talk about how our $1 million homes selling so far in 2018, July 24th, the first 6.5, 7 months of 2018 versus the first 7 months of 2017. You can do a 1-year comparison, and that's just data. That's just analytics. And so you're talking about luxury, even though you've never sold one. They don't need to know that.
Perception is reality.
Perception out there, put it out there, feed it. Now, the biggest objection, the biggest hurdle that agents, why they don't do video is, let's face it, we're our worst critics on our physical appearance. So females might say, oh, I got to lose weight or this. I kid around when I speak on national stages. I go, hey, if you look real close, I got one nostril bigger than the other. And then then everybody laughs and stuff. But I self-deprecating humor is never a bad thing. But I say, hey, the reason I share that with you is if you wait to that perfect day or your hair is perfect or you're never going to do it. And part of what you're doing when you create these videos, when I shoot them with the backdrops, and I'm just being real, is you're being authentic. People in today's day and age, they want to deal with authentic, real, sincere people.
I so agree with that. Let's spend a couple more minutes on video. I want to give all our listeners, because you said it's very critically important to be doing videos, and some people are going to be like, well, what do I do a video about? So I'm just going to help everybody out real quickly and give everyone a coaching tip. So here's what I would want you to do is I want you to just make a list of the top 10 most frequently asked questions by sellers. That's 10 video topics right there. The answer to every single question is a video.
Or objections, or like, so for example, one of the videos we talk about, like in my market, I use something, what I call my ROS method, my ROS strategy. It's called reverse offer strategy. I teach it. I train agents on it. I've sold 2 homes in the last 45 days with the reverse offer strategy. So when a buyer comes through, let's say you represent the seller, the buyer's represented by a buyer's agent. Buyer comes through one of your listings and the feedback is, hey, they didn't like it. It's not in their top 3 or whatever. Or they showed some interest, but it's been 30 days, 40 days, 3 weeks, and they've gone away. Time is a killer of all deals, and the longer a home sits, as we know, buyers think something's wrong with it. But the longer in between showings, or when there was someone that was somewhat interested and they haven't circled back, the less likely they write on your home. And so I've gone back to buyer's agents, and if we role played, I'd say, hey, hey, it's Michael Lafido. You showed my listing at 123 Elm Street a few weeks back. You said they were kind of interested, but hey, listen, as you recall, we were listed at $1 million. Now, this is, by the way, the other thing is if you know and own your numbers at your local marketplace, your confidence will grow and you can do these types of things. So let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, that homes, in that $1 million price point are selling at 93% of the asking price. So 93% of 1 million is 930. So I go back to my seller and I would say, hey, listen, remember, Mr. Seller, we had the conversation where my goal is to try to get you 100%, but realistically, I want to get you above that 93% because that's kind of what homes in your price point are trading for. So why don't we go back to that one buyer and offer him a price of $950, which would be 95%, which is very favorable to you. I'm not going to bring up the percentages because if I tell them 95%, they might look on the MLS and say, oh, that's actually 2% more than the average. But why don't we go back to them and let's just go $949, $900. It's really $950, but it sounds cheaper. So why don't we go back at $949.9 and offer that agent a $10,000 bonus if they can close right away. And in essence, I'm getting you 93.9% of your asking price, and the closing date and the terms are on your, are to your approval. So now we ring. I say, Mr. Sellers, our buyer's agent, hey, you showed 123 Elm Street. I appreciate it. You said your client was kind of interested or it wasn't in their top three. And I don't know if this is going to make a difference, but I put deals together where buyer's agents didn't think their client would accept it, and they thanked me later because you didn't have to show your clients any more homes. But my client is willing to sell to your buyer for $949,900. And I know this doesn't matter to you, the next thing I'm going to share with you, but we're going to offer a $10,000 bonus on top of the 3% when the competition is paying out 2.5%. And I know that doesn't mean anything to you, and you would help your client whether we're paying out 1%, but I want to let you know we're paying out 3% and a $10,000 bonus. Please share that with your client, and if you would, get back to me and let me know their thoughts, okay?
Love it. And you sold 2 in the last 45 days just by utilizing that strategy.
And I got one seller that she said, wow, she referenced this as the reason her home sold.
Wow.
And the other one was a small entry-level home. It was a $250,000 home. And the client said, well, he thought we were going to go on 235 to 240, 45. So 250 was a little high in his mind. But I said, let's go up to 250 because that gets you in that higher price point. It's a nice enough home where we might get some interest from that price point. So we went on at 250 even. So in other words, if somebody was on Redfin or Zillow or their website and they were looking 2 to 250, we would have still showed them. But if they're looking 250 to 300, we would have been in both price barriers. We had 3 showings in the first 4 days. Feedback on 2 of them was somewhat positive, but they thought it was overpriced, and the third one said it was overpriced. We did a reverse offer in this strategy. We went back at $229,900. And why that price? Why that price was we were going to probably adjust the price within the first 5 to 7 days to $234,900-ish anyway, somewhere in that. And so in his mind, the buyer thought, wow, that's a great deal. They came down this much, but really we were about to adjust the price anyway, so we had that built-in buffer there. So we put that deal together. So it doesn't matter what price point, this strategy works.
Love it, love it, love it. And I know there's a lot of people who are listening to this that have never even thought of doing such a thing. And I can't wait to see the feedback from people trying this out. So,
well, we're taught he who speaks first in negotiation loses. And while I would agree if a buyer was hot to trot and there were somebody interested, but if somebody is remotely interested or they're not interested, how do you bring them back to the table? Well, this would be a strategy that you could do that. But if they're hot to trot and you're in a market where you're getting multiple bids, I probably wouldn't suggest this. But if you're in what we call a buyer's market, and by the way, I don't care where your listeners are, there's definitely a buyer's market in every market. The shift occurs from a seller's market to a buyer's market at some price point. And it's usually when you get to that luxury or high-end price point. When the shift occurs from a seller's market to a buyer's market, which we define with 7 months or more of inventory, you can't do the same things as everybody else. And you have to educate your buyers on an ongoing basis and your sellers, and you got to manage their expectations. So, Mr. Seller, do you remember I told you when we put your home on the market that there's a 1.5 years of inventory or whatever it is? So you have to always manage your clients' expectations throughout the process, but you have to own your numbers. You need to know what price point does a shift occur from a seller's market to a buyer's market. You need to know how many months of inventory there are for the different price points, from entry level to average to high end and luxury, because if you're a seller and you're like, hey, Mike, I'm excited. I hear it's a seller's market. You say overall it is in Orange County, but unfortunately for your $4.8 million home, there's 2 years of inventory and there's stiff competition. So it's our job to manage the expectations. You got to own your numbers, and if you own the numbers, you grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow.
Love it, love it, love it. So we talked a lot about, we talked about, the belief system and, some of the conversations, et cetera, with, high-end sellers, et cetera. What about like somebody that's listening right now and saying, how do I get that first one? Like, what's the best way for me to go out there and generate my first high-end listing?
Well, we could spend hours on this, but if I were to come to the Orange County market or Dearborn, Michigan, or move to some other market, that's one of my first questions people always ask me at a training or a webinar. Hey, Michael, what would you do if you moved to my market? Well, there'll be three things that I would do. So I'm actually hosting a webinar on this, and it's really on these three core principles. But the first three things that I would do is, number one, is I would either join an office that specializes in high-end luxury. Okay, I've already talked about this, okay? I would invest in a mentor or coach, or I'd get some kind of certification to differentiate myself, okay? Number two, I would start a luxury networking group, and I can spend an hour on this, but it's basically a monthly meeting where you connect business owners that cater to high net worth individuals. And number three is I would work canceled and expired or for sale by owners, or work with builders, okay? So, there's cold marketing, people that have never met you, and warm marketing, people that know you, like you, and trust you, okay? That's your database, your sphere. And so, the networking group, okay, and associating with offices or your certification, having that circle of trust, that's kind of warm marketing. Cold marketing is kind of prospecting, lead generation. I still believe in that. I have what I call $1 million mailer that I sent out, and in other markets, people are just crushing it with this mailer where, a home goes off the market at 11:40 a.m. Central Time today. They probably get 30 solicitations via phone call by the end of the business day, and they might get 3 to 6 good mailers that are well done. I'd rather be one of 3 or 6 versus one of 30 phone calls.
Love it. Do you personally call unexpired, cancels, withdrawals, and for sale by owners?
I don't. I've never done it. I shouldn't say I've never done. I've never done it consistently. I've never door knocked consistently. If you have that ability, God bless you. Please do it. Whatever you're strong at, continue to do that. What I was always good at is direct mail, because think about it, 10 to 15 years ago, you get your mail, you go to your mailbox, and you're standing over the garbage throwing it out. Now you get your mail and it looks hand addressed. You're excited because not too many businesses are doing direct mail anymore, and so I believe it's a way to stand above your competition with some direct mail. I'm actually doing putting together my best marketing pieces and packaging it up to our coaching clients as we speak.
Love it, love it. If someone's interested in, reaching out to you for any coaching, mentoring, or consulting, how can they find you, etc.?
Yeah, so thank you. So they can send me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, or they can text. We have like kind of a free offering where we give a free blueprint, a video checklist, and a 3-part video series. They can literally text the word LUXE to 72000. So if they text LUXE to 72000, we'll send them a bunch of free things. We got a webinar coming up, but really, you're teaching some amazing things. For those of you that don't know your background, you probably don't talk about it, but you've coached some of the amazing agents through different organizations for years. And you were telling me offline, how many agents personally have you coached?
I don't know the number of agents, but I know for a fact I've been on somewhere between 25,000 and 30 one-on-one coaching calls from people from all over the country, whether it's, high end, low end, and everyone else in between. I've worked with people in Beverly Hills, worked people in your marketplace in Chicago, coached a guy over there to do over 100 transactions a year. He was with Sotheby's, and now he's with eProperties. I think they're called At Properties.
Yeah, At Properties.
Yeah, it helped him also, do $1 million plus listings over there, which he's never done before. And it was, first we had to get this right, and then we had to get everything else right and stuff like that. So that's awesome. Can you do me a favor? Can you put that card up to the screen one more time?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, because, there's some very good stuff there. So again, everyone, text the words LUXE to 72,000. Yeah. And what Michael's going to give you is the ultimate listing blueprint. And he's going to give you a 56-point video checklist and a free 3-part video series that's going to help you, break into the high-end market, whatever the high-end market is for you. Thank you very much for that, Michael.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No, you're absolutely right. And if you're not, sometimes I found agents are terrible with technology. So if you type in your phone and you're going to dial out and just put 72000, it's like hit send. Don't call that number, but call it, I should say, and then hang up. Once you hang up, send a text to that number and text Lux, L-U-X-E. So I sometimes have agents say, well, how do I text that? And that's a fair question.
Yeah.
So dial 72000, hit call, and then end the call after 5 seconds or whatever, and then text L-U-X-E to that number, and they'll be asked some questions because they have to opt in for compliance, and we'll get that over to them. And I'll be glad to help any way I can. Any questions, they can email me, Michael at Marketing Luxury Group, and you guys are doing some great things. We finally connected on social media, but I really like what I'm seeing and what you're doing and helping agents and bettering their lives, because I believe, so there's other certifications out there. And by the way, you can see behind me, Lux, L-U-X-E is the abbreviation for our certification, that require their set of minimums. In other words, you got to sell X amount of luxury homes before you qualify. So I want to leave you with two stories before I answer any questions you have or your audience does. So I helped the co-founder of eXp Realty secure a $6.5 million listing in Scottsdale, and he did not qualify for another certification. And I thought, man, why would you want this guy to be set up for failure? He should have the tools and resources to be successful. So that's one of the reasons I don't have a minimum. That was his highest listing ever, and he did not qualify for another certification. The other example is that Joan Blinn from Keller Williams in Dallas that came through my class, and I helped her, and she went on a $5.15 million listing appointment. She's still trying to get the listing. She went back to her company, Keller Williams, and she did not qualify for their luxury division, so she didn't have all the tools and resources to be successful. Another reason that we don't have a bare minimum is we all need our first. Right?
Yeah.
Our first. And so my action item for everybody on this still would be do everything you can legally and ethically, of course, to get that first high-end or luxury listing. And so if it's priced at $1 million and the real price is $600, I call it the 4 Ps: the property, the person, the position, and the price. So even if they're 0 for 4 on all 4 of these. In other words, it should be priced at $700, but they want to price it at $1 million. And the property is not unique, and it's a pigsty. And the person is negative towards you, and they're not a pleasant person, and they're not willing to listen to you. I would still recommend you take that listing, because you're going to stub your toes, but you're going to start gaining your confidence. People are going to go on your personal website, and they're going to see, wow, man, they got $1 million listing. And there's an old adage in real estate: buyers are liars. In other words, I want to buy a home that backs up to a pond or an open area, and they end up buying a home that backs up to a commercial plant or whatever it might be. So sellers are liars too, and they're screamers. Okay, in other words, they're not going to take below X. Well, their motivation changes. Okay, and so I would recommend to your audience members to do everything legally and ethically to take on those first couple high-end listings. Have you ever gone water skiing?
Water skiing, me, no.
Okay, I've done it a few times. I'm not a swimmer, I'm a sinker. But the most difficult part is when they're pulling you and getting you up off the water. But once you get off the water, it's easier on the skier and the boat to pull you. And I believe when an agent gets their first 2 or 3 high-end and luxury listings, it's difficult to get those first 2 or 3. But when you get them, it's easier to maintain that level.
You are so right. I got a guy I'm working with out of, he's out of Dearborn, Michigan, my hometown, and I'm based out of here, Orange County right now. And he's already doing like 70 some deals a year, but his average sales price is like about $100,000 some. And he wanted to break through the 300, 400, 500. And just in the last days, Michael, just by, shifting his mindset first, you know what I mean? He's been able to take 15 new listings that he would have never taken, all through calling for sale by owners, expireds, and cancels and withdrawals, etc. And the best part about it is he's now taking $300,000 listings He's taking $500,000 listings. And he called me up last week and he goes, Coach, do I still have to work with the $100,000 people? And I was like, all right, we're breaking through right now. That's your bread and butter. Let's keep going, etc. Yeah. So everybody needs their first, because once you get your first, that's like the evidence that you need, that you do qualify to do whatever it is that you've been wanting to do. Michael, anything else you want to share? I mean, you've shared a ton. I mean, I can't think of anything else to ask or anything like that.
Giving you water through a fire hose. So a couple things. Doesn't matter the company you're with, doesn't matter how many years you've been licensed, you can increase your average sale price by adding more high-end and luxury homes to your portfolio. I define high-end as 2 times whatever your average sale price is for your market, and luxury is 3 times whatever your average sale price is. So incorporate video. Could be Facebook Lives on your smartphone, educational videos in front of open houses, could be educational videos on why now is a good time to buy, why now is a good time to sell, could be case studies. I use a service Viral. They do they help you create 2 educational videos a month. They send it out and they edit the videos. I recommend them. Getviral.com. And I mean, if anybody's got any questions, feel free to email me, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. If you have a stale luxury listing that isn't moving, we offer fresh eyes analysis. I just helped an agent on Nashville, Tennessee, sell a penthouse unit in downtown. It was stale. It wasn't moving. We helped her reposition it, get it sold. And that's the kind of stuff that we do. Or if you want to help getting that trophy listing, we can coach you up to help get it. But you're doing some amazing things. I'm looking forward to staying connected with you
Likewise, brother.
To help each other. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and I'm sure our audience is going to be reaching out to you, whether it's via text or email, etc. And you're our first person that we ever have on a show that's talking about luxury marketing, high-end.
Oh, really?
That are
so you'll always remember your first.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm going to be pushing this episode because it is a very common question that I get all the time. How do I do higher priced listings, and how do I bring it to the market? And I think you shared a ton of great value today. And
I'd be willing to do for you, we can talk about this offline, some kind of educational webinar for your audience.
Yes, for our listings on demand. I have a listings on demand, like a top listing agent academy. I'd love for you to come on, just for our private members and do, a training for them. So we'll definitely set that up. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome, brother. Well, let's keep in touch. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
You are the best.